Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dr. Fel. I am Lorna Dino from the Department of Education, Philippines. I'm here to represent our Secretary of the Department of Education, Her Excellency Leonor Magtolis Briones. There are 4 other Filipinos who are here, 3 from Early Childhood Care and Development, and 1 from the CMU Inutech, Director Ramon C. Bacani. Now, my assignment is to talk about balanced and inclusive education in the Philippines. This is quite long, but I'll try to finish this in 15 minutes. As I'll cover only four things: our big pictures, our guiding principles and inclusion programs, our challenges and opportunities. Now, let me go to our big pictures. One is making sure that all the programs that we have, the plans that we have, are all aligned to the big pictures for inclusive ed. Basically, what we are also doing is aligned to SDG 4. And we also have this ambition. Ambition is our goal for 2040. The Philippines would like to make sure that all citizens are free from hunger and poverty, basically. And the DepEd mandate, that's the Constitution telling us that our main duty is to protect and promote the rights of all citizens to quality education at all levels. And that would really mean that we respect diversity, that we broaden educational goals, and our education programs are also strengthened. And we have, in 2013, we adopted one DepEd vision for all the Filipino children. And what we're saying here is every Filipino child should be able to love our country passionately, and that we should make sure that before they graduate from grade 12, they will have the values, they will have the competencies to make sure that their potentials are fully developed for them to be able to contribute to building the nation. And we also align our goals, our programs with the Department of Education to the Philippine Development Goal and to the agenda of the Secretary under the present government of President Duterte. And these are the agenda of our Secretary. And this is the framework of the K-12 program in the Philippines. As you know, we have just started the K-12 program. In fact, we just finished. We have just graduated one batch of senior high school this April 2018. And at the center of this curricular reform is the learner. So we say that in every decision that we make, the learner is at the center. So it's really a learner-centered curriculum. And when we talk of inclusive education, we speak of the learner, we speak of the curriculum for the learner, we speak of the learning resources appropriate for the learner, and the delivery is also learner-centered, including assessment. We also talk about other factors surrounding inclusive education to make sure that it's also a balanced, inclusive education. The learning environment, the school, the teacher professional development, and lately we just revised our teacher standards. We now have the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, and we are strengthening school leadership and management, and we are also strengthening partnership with the government, the different national government agencies, their field offices, national government organizations. We also partner with business and industry and the other agencies. And we are ensured of support of the government. These are our guiding principles. Of course, responsiveness to rights, sensitivity, and responsiveness to context. And we have been listening of contextualization and making sure that we are respecting our learners' context, the community as well. And we have adopted the idea that in any case, we should never leave a child behind. These principles are embedded in the curriculum in the law, the Republic Act 10533, that allowed us to add 2 more in high school. So we now have kindergarten, 6 years elementary, then 4 years junior high school, and 2 years senior high school. And these are our principles. And as you can see, the first principle there is it should really be a learner-centered, inclusive, and developmentally appropriate curriculum. And we have, as pointed out earlier by previous speakers, we say that inclusive education is not just about access. But speaking of access, we make sure that we have early enrollment in the Philippines. third Saturday of January every year, we already do a lot of enrollment. But our classes start usually in June. Public school classes start in June and ends April, first week of April. We also have governance support. Government is supporting the students and teachers in private education to make sure that even the learners who go to private education, private schools, are also supported by the government. Now, in the formal system, we have an alternative delivery mode. In case the child is in difficult circumstances, like the child gets sick, the child gets pregnant, the child is helping the family, child labor, all these difficult circumstances, we make sure that the child is able to have still access to basic education by giving, for instance, modules for independent learning, home education, or emergency education in emergencies and the like. For the out-of-school youth, we offer them alternative learning system so that in a way they will be given interventions and later on they take accreditation and equivalency test. So we recognize prior learning so that if they pass the assessment, then they could be certified as elementary level graduate or high school graduate. And so they can go to higher education after such accreditation. And so let's take a look at the programs that we have for as far as quality is concerned. Our curriculum is respecting mother tongue-based multilingual education. Lots of conversation I had this morning also pertain to mother tongue-based multilingual education. And this is the program that we have for kindergarten to grade 3. In the Philippines, the challenge really is most of the languages, more than 170 plus languages in the Philippines, do not have the orthography, do not have the grammar, do not have dictionary. And therefore, before we could develop learning resources for kindergarten, grade 1 to 3, we should have all this written down. And so that's one challenge. I would like to talk about challenges, but that's one challenge that I like to emphasize. And speaking of quality, we also offer different tracks, different strands, and TLE specializations. TLE is technological livelihood education for our students, respecting the diversity. We also offer special curriculum programs in the arts, in sports, in languages, in journalism. As far as foreign language is concerned, we offer Japanese, we offer Mandarin, we offer German, we offer French, we offer Spanish, and we offer also Korean. And we are trying to explore other possibilities and offering other languages, especially languages in Southeast Asia. We also have different programs along quality and access for the gifted and talented, for the learners with different disabilities. And also we offer Arabic language, Islamic values education for our Muslim children. And for indigenous people's education, what we have is an education that respects indigenous knowledge, practices, systems, and community history, languages, learning systems, community life cycle-based curriculum and assessment, and others, especially rights and responsibilities of indigenous communities. As far as programs for learners under difficult circumstances, a while ago I mentioned that these are for learners with diseases, displaced because of conflict, rather, armed conflict, urban resettlement or migration, disasters. As we all know, Philippines is always visited. Typhoons are not embarrassed to come to the Philippines. There are always typhoon, there's earthquake and the like. There are victims of child abuse, child labor practices. So we offer them modules, independent learning modules. We offer them home education program so that they'll be able to complete the year and complete basic education. Now, as far as the country is concerned, we don't have yet, but there are only very small villages without elementary schools. So we have, under Secretary Leonor Magdolis-Briones, we have this last mile project so that we will establish schools, even multi-grade schools in very far communities so that our children will have access to these. And the Philippine educational system, the public school system is quite big, but not as big as Mexico. Right now, we have around 800,000 men and women, and out of these 800,000, The teaching personnel is around 700 as of this month. And learners in the public school system would mean to around 27 millions of children from K to 12. And now let me talk about challenges. Although we have done a lot of programs to make sure that all learners are able to access schools, we also bring schools to the children. Then what we are saying here is there are still children who are not given that opportunity to access basic education. So the challenge really to make sure that when we say universal participation, there's really universal participation. As I mentioned, bring the school to them if they cannot go to the school through the formal system or alternative learning system. And the other challenge is bridging the gap. Now, we have done a lot of conversation, dialogue between the early childhood care and development, so that what we're saying here is if early childhood care and development council will, and all the pre-kindergarten teachers, these different centers will give us the results of identifying, for instance, the different learning disabilities, the different needs of the kids when they go to kindergarten, when they go to DepEd, when they go to our public and private schools handling kindergarten, then we are more prepared. So we don't have to diagnose, to do the diagnostic ourselves. So we'll just be able to continue what has been done in the play school or in the pre-kindergarten classes. And we also would like to pursue that for those who have not done any school, the adults which would need a lot of literacy programs, we are trying to strengthen the programs taken good care of by the Literacy Coordinating Council, which is also chaired by the Department of Education Secretary. Another challenge is really making sure that if we want our children to have 21st century skills, then what is important here is the question this question should be answered yes. Do we have 21st century education teachers? Do we have 21st century education leaders? Because we cannot give what we don't have. So for quality basic education that would really integrate inclusivity and balanced education, then that would really be a requirement. And the other challenge is, if we would like to make sure that our children from grade 12 would really be ready for business industry, for Industry 4.0, what we want them to have are these 21st century skills, which we grouped into 4: information, media, and literacy skills, learning and innovation skills. So we included creativity, curiosity, critical thinking, problem solving, risk taking. We also included design thinking, systems thinking, because that would be a requirement if you will go into robotics. We also we are also emphasizing communication skills, collaboration and interpersonal skills, personal, social, and civic responsibility, interactive communication, local, national, and global orientation. And naturally, in addition to these soft skills I mentioned, we also have to strengthen life and career skills, flexibility and adaptability, especially for this present generation, initiative and self-direction, social and cross-cultural skills, and productivity and accountability, leadership and responsibility, ethical, moral, and spiritual values. So the other challenge is to make sure that the 21st century skills are not memorized. What we have to do is there should be always experiential learning process in the classroom. There should be a lot of campus activities and community-based activities to make sure that the 21st century skills are not objectives, but are part of activities to make sure that every learner would really be first in giving activities. And the other one is for self and for other thinking. That will mean global citizenship education, so that our kids would really be able to be empowered to think, to share, and act for a more sustainable global world. And so we say that other challenge is making the education with a soul. Because as mentioned, excellence with the soul should become the core business, especially in the ASEAN academic community. Opportunities, the laws are there. What we have to do is be compliant with the law. Early Years Act, the Republic Act 10157 that universalized the teaching of kindergarten. And as I mentioned a while ago, the RA 10533 that enhanced the basic education system, adding 2 years in the primary education. And so we say that if our beliefs are for inclusivity, for balanced education, then that perspective should be translated to laws, to all our policies. And that I would consider all these as opportunities. And there are many more opportunities for all these policies which are already there to make sure that these policies are translated to every day, to every moment action. Because if there is a change of perspective, there are changes, there are many changes in policies, laws, DepEd, educational policies. But if the practice is not changed, then there will be no balanced and inclusive education. So maraming salamat po. Salamat po is thank you. Gracias.